Leon Draisaitl celebrated his 22nd birthday yesterday and got the party started early with 3 assists the night before against Dallas. Another one tonight, but unfortunately in a losing cause to the Washington Capitals. Happy to have you with us on After Hours. The German Gretzky, the Deutschland Dangler, we'll get into all of that as we move along, but first we must address the early season recovery of the Oilers, which took a bit of a step back tonight. Louie.
Yeah, Leon, just maybe a little conversation on tonight's game. It looked like you guys came out and got the start you wanted, got the first couple of goals, but just couldn't really hang on to that momentum. And I guess credit Washington for the way they played to come back in it, but maybe your take on what happened tonight and how it didn't go your way.
Yeah, I think you said it perfect. I think we came out of the gates really good. Obviously being up 2-0 was the way we wanted to start the game, but getting that goal late in the first period kind of took the momentum away from us a little bit. So they're a good team. They're very skilled up front, and we had too many mistakes here.
So Leon, we're seeing a sample of your work tonight, and you had a pretty solid game. So let's address your personal recovery from 10 days out with a concussion. What was it like?
Yeah, it doesn't feel very good. It's not very fun. Yeah, I've never had a concussion before, so it's obviously part of the game, and you go through it, and it's just something you really don't want to mess around with. I think your head is the most important thing you have.
The tweet here is from Chris Fleming. Have you got back to the pace that you'd like to be at since your concussion?
I think I still have more to give. It's still early. Obviously, it usually takes a couple games to get back into it. Even though it was only 4 games that I've missed, but so far it's been okay. It's just a matter of the team, finding our stride now.
Okay, let's move on from tonight's game and get to the really important stuff. Leon, can you think of another Oiler, another great Oiler, who, like you, wore number 29?
I'll go with him. I think he wore 29.
You know what? He stumped you when he said great. When he said great, Louie
DeBrusk.
Great.
Well, listen
Wait a second.
You knew the answer all along, and the music just made it more dramatic. But
Yeah,
Louie,
probably.
how do you feel about Leon blowing all your numbers out of the water,
I think
with the exception of penalty minutes, which he's never going to catch?
You're going to have a little bit hard time getting the penalty minutes, I think, but everything else is already gone long way. But I'm proud because I'm happy to see somebody else wearing that number 29 and having success in it. But along those lines, what made you pick number 29?
Well, first of all, I just love the number. It's always been a number that I've liked. I think it looks good on the jersey, and also kind of a funny story. My dad had a player, Ben Thompson, when he coached in Germany, and he wore 29.
Ben Thompson goes all the way. The story goes all the way back to Alberta, long before you ever thought you would play here. He's from Coaldale, Alberta. He had 5 years in Medicine Hat of the Western League and 3 at the University of Alberta. An outstanding player, all 5'7" of him. How did he affect your career?
He was just such a good guy. Like I always see, I was always in the dressing room with my dad, and joking around with the players. And he was such a good player and such a good guy. It was a lot of fun to be around.
So he'd have been one of your first idols?
Yeah, you can say that. I looked up to him. I liked him as a guy. Obviously, there's other guys that I've loved watching. Pavel Datsyuk, Kopitar, guys like that. Try and model my game a little bit after them.
All right, your contract extension signed in August after your 77-point season makes you one of the highest paid players in the NHL. How do you guard against that deal changing you both as a player and a person?
It doesn't really. It doesn't change me at all. I'm still the same guy. I'm not the type of guy that buys flashy cars or buys unnecessary stuff that I don't need. And on the ice, obviously I'm still young. I have lots more to give and lots more to learn. So I'm looking forward to the next couple of years and just getting better as a player. Who
do you talk to stay grounded?
My family keeps me pretty humble. It's pretty easy.
They often do, don't they? That's great. Your dad, obviously, being in the game for as long as he was, be a good mentor for you.
Absolutely, yeah. He knows what it's like. He knows a little bit of what it's like to be in that position, and you know, he's a great mentor for me.
Louie knows of what he speaks because he's done it many times with Jake, who was a first-round draft pick playing for the Boston Bruins. All right, true or false? As a kid in Germany, you took a year off from hockey to pursue soccer.
True. Yes.
How did it go?
Not very good, obviously. No, I don't know exactly what the reason was for that, to be honest.
Well, how old were you when you did it?
9, 10,
Ah,
I think. Just stopped and played soccer for a year, and it was fun, but I think hockey was the better choice.
Okay, then a tweet from Matt Malandrucolo, or maybe Drucolo, I'm not sure how you say it. I'm a professional pronouncer. I cannot be expected to get these names right. Your favorite German soccer team?
Either my hometown team, Cologne, or Bayern. I think that's for every German.
Okay. Let's go back then a little bit further than when you were trying to choose between hockey and soccer. We've got 3 great pictures here. So the first one. Now, Leon, what do you remember about the day this picture was taken?
Probably
Nothing, of course.
Absolutely
How about
nothing.
that lid, though?
But you
that
look
lid's
good.
great.
Yeah, no, I don't remember much, but my hair clearly wasn't on point.
All right.
I think it's awesome.
This next picture suggests swimming was briefly a consideration for you. There you go.
Oh yes, yeah, never a friend of the water.
Get the water wings going.
Yeah, to this date, I'm still afraid sometimes, but yeah. Good
So that's
holidays.
about as far as your swimming career went, right there?
That's as far as it went. Yeah.
Okay. And at last, this picture, you were leaning towards hockey, albeit with the requisite kids soother.
Yeah, you know, started early, obviously family thing with my dad, and you know, happy I picked this sport.
And when did you give up the soother?
A couple years ago.
That's good.
All right, well,
Give it back to 'em.
those are rare but not difficult to find pictures because we picked them right off your Instagram account. The German Gretzky nickname first arose when you scored 97 goals, 192 points in 29 games with the Mannheimer U16 team. What kind of attention were you getting as a hockey player in Germany back then?
Not much, to be honest. You know, back home, the junior hockey isn't in the media or isn't really talked about that much. So, yeah, it was a good year. I've had very good line mates that year, and you know, obviously made it a lot of fun.
Okay, we have a couple of pictures, I think, from when you were a kid playing in Germany. Tell us what, well, I guess we can figure out what era that was. That was a little bit before the 97 goals and 192 points, and then this one. That would have been when?
Way before that, even. That was still when I played back home in my hometown in Cologne. When I was 13, I moved to Mannheim to play in their organization for 3 years. So a little before that year.
Okay, then you came to Canada to play in the U17 World Challenge in Windsor in 2012. And here's an interview we found from that tournament just prior to you playing your first game. You were asked, because you got a lot of attention with the 97 goals and 192 points coming over here, you were asked if you had any interest in ever playing in Canada. This was your response.
Yes, for sure. I'm very interested to come to Canada. Yes, we will see what happens. It's great to be here.
I'll leave it to you to follow up on that.
Well, there's not much to say about that one.
You look like
English.
like you were being held hostage, but to
Yeah.
be fair, you were just a kid, and I would guess in Canada for the first time?
Yeah, that was the first time for me. Yeah, clearly my English wasn't where it's at today.
Louie.
What made you decide to want to play in Canada? Following up on that, you did go to the Western Hockey League and play in Prince Albert. Is that something that you always wanted to do, or what kind of made you turn to that direction?
You know what? Obviously, as a kid, you know, even starting hockey in Germany, the NHL is a dream for everyone. And you know, for me personally, I just thought the best step for me was to go overseas and show myself and you know, show my skill and show what I got, and you know, play with the best players my age. You know, I think for me that was the right step. I had 2 really good years in Prince Albert, very fun. You know, people around me were great, so I don't regret it.
So here's how the Canadian dream unfolded. Prince Albert Raiders used the 2nd overall pick in the 2012 import draft to pick you. And you and your father weren't necessarily convinced when the pick was made that Prince Albert was the right place for you. So Bruno Campisi, who was then the general manager of the Raiders, went to Cologne. He spent 2.5 days there convincing you and your father, Peter, that PA was the right place. How did he win you over?
You know what? First of all, the fact that he came all the way to Germany for 2 days to convince me over, that really showed me that they really wanted me there. And you know, as a player, there's not much you can ask for more than that. So that really was the fact why I really wanted to play in Canada.
Okay, we got some video here of your success with the Raiders, 2 seasons there, so it was clearly the right choice. And the Oilers then took you 3rd overall in the 14 draft, and that was a crazy day in Philadelphia. Once you get through going on stage, you have to run the gauntlet of media interviews, pictures, but you did all that. And then you finally caught up with your parents. So here was a nice exchange with your father in your first language.
Schon gut, oder was?
Doch nichts Geileres, Oilers, Center.
Die brauchen Schnitzki.
Ja,
Die haben schon lange keinen mehr gehabt.
McTavish meinte zu mir, tu alles dafür, dass du dieses Jahr spielst.
Oilers center. I got that part.
Yeah.
It looked like you couldn't have been happier than to be drafted by the Oilers.
No, I was very excited. You know, obviously it's such a special day for a young kid or a family. I think Louie, you know what it's like. It's a great event, and you know, that's something that kids dream of, and you know, to be part of this this franchise, I guess, you know, was a great feeling.
When you first came to Edmonton, you were billeted with Bruce Saville, one of the former owners of the Oilers, in a 34,000 square foot house. Did you get the wrong idea about how people live in North America?
At first, yes, but pretty quickly I realized that you know, he lives a pretty good life. You know, he's such a nice guy, and you know, he took me and Darnell in early, and you know, it was great to meet.
All right, Leon Draisaitl, who's gone through the full Western Canada experience from Prince Albert to Edmonton, is our guest on After Hours. We'll continue from the Oilers Hall of Fame room at Rogers Place in a moment. Back with you at Rogers Place in Edmonton. Pleased to have with us as our guest on After Hours, Leon Draisaitl. Here's an international highlight of yours. It was only about 13 months ago. It's the OT winner for Team Europe versus the Czech Republic. Team Europe was a collection of players from 8 countries, and you got to the final. So which would you have preferred? Getting to the final with Team Europe or leading Germany, a team that probably wouldn't have got nearly as far?
That's a tough one. I think this was really fun. You know, you get to play with so many countries and so many different guys, and you know, you come together, and you know, we actually started off terrible, and then we just found our way, and you know, it was a lot of fun. So
It seemed to me like that tournament was a real turning point for you too, and it really kind of built a lot of confidence playing alongside one of your idols, Anze Kopitar, as well. And you seemed to really come into your own there, and you carried that confidence right into the season from my point of view. Is that how you saw it too?
Yeah, definitely. You know, there's so many players that you could learn from. You know, as a 20-year-old kid, you know, Kopitar, Hossa, even Chara, the leadership that he brought, and you know, so many different guys that I really picked up a lot of stuff from over those couple of weeks, and it was a great time.
You got to wear the German sweater, though, at the end of last season. The day after Anaheim finished off the Oilers in the playoffs, you were in Cologne, playing in your hometown, playing for Germany in the Worlds, as they say. This leads us to another World Championship in Mannheim, I think in 2010. Is it true that in 2010 you were 13 years old, I think, and a member of the ice crew?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I was watching Jordan Eberle and Stamkos and those kind of guys warm up and play, and my team in Mannheim got to do the ice shoveling. So it's pretty funny when I told Eberle that the first time.
And then 4 years later, you actually played for Germany in the World Championships. I think
Yes,
you were
yeah,
18, right?
yes, that was my first World Championship.
It's a tweet from Theo Radford. Who was your hockey idol growing up in Germany, and was it possible to even watch the NHL on TV for you?
No, not possible to watch the NHL, but you know, there's YouTube, and I think I spent more time on YouTube than doing my homework, probably. So, yeah, it's always obviously the German guys that played in the NHL at that point. You know, I've always looked up to those guys, and that's your Kopitar.
You are your country's best player by far. Marco Sturm, who's the head coach for Germany, says you're the face of hockey there. Although hockey does take a back seat to soccer with respect to media coverage. So we have a portion here of a feature that aired on national TV in Germany just a couple of weeks ago, a feature about you, where we'll run the first 15, 20 seconds of it and let you do the translation.
Hier kommt ein Superstar, der den meisten in Deutschland noch unbekannt ist. Leon Draisaitl.
What do you say?
I said, this is a superstar that no one really knows yet in Germany.
Yeah, see, now how is that possible?
I don't know, hockey is just not that big back home. It's all about soccer, basketball, even handball, tennis, you know, those types of sports, they're all in front of hockey, which is too bad, but you know, I think it's going in the right direction.
Well, a lot of people would dispute it because I know Bob Nicholson was in Germany last spring, and everywhere he went, he was asked about you. But anyway, that's what they said in the feature, and we can take objection to it if we like. Your father, Peter, is a well-known hockey name in Germany, having represented the country in 146 games and in 3 Olympics. You were not even born when he played for Germany in Albertville, 1992, where he was part of perhaps the most bizarre shootout in Olympic history. Now, we can't show it to our viewers because of IOC copyright, but you can watch it here. And what happens basically is, and how many times do you watch that, by the way?
A lot of times.
Yeah.
I still chirp him about that, actually.
Yeah. Well, what happened was Germany needed a goal to stay in the game with Canada. Your father faces Sean Burke. The puck pops out of Burke's pads, wobbles to the goal line, and stops dead right there. Does not cross the goal line, and Germany is out of the Olympics. How's your father explained it to you over the years?
Unlucky, I guess. You know, that's pretty unfortunate, but you know, you shot the puck. There's never anything wrong with the shot, I guess.
Well, you know, you do that yourself too. A lot of times you come in on breakaways, you shoot rather than deke.
Yeah, I like shooting the puck. Yeah, it's kind of my
Well,
goal thing.
speaking of shooting, let's get to the stick. Yours is unique, Leon, in that the blade is as close to a canoe paddle as you can get in the NHL these days.
Well, you know,
Some analysis here, Louie.
yeah, you know, for me, I like to use a big blade as well too, because I needed all the help I could get when the puck was coming my way. But you use it a little differently, and one of the things that strikes me is the fact that it's very straight. You know, you're very good on your backhand and forehand. But talk about how this came to be the pattern that you seemed to fall on when you were choosing sticks, because this had to be something that was in the making for years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My dad used this curve, very similar. A couple of years ago, I just made it a little longer, a few inches, and you know, played with it my whole life. And you know, I really like using my backhand, like you said, and this gives me a good chance to do that.
You know, and some people would think this is an advantage having a big blade like this, but actually it can kind of get in the way sometimes as well. It's easier to check, easier to poke at, so you have to be strong on your hands as well to be able to use a stick like this
yeah,
too.
for sure. You know, a lot of the curves are more curved, obviously, and it's easier to drag pucks or make other plays. But I'm so used to this, I can't switch now.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a
working pretty
measure.
well.
Here's a measure, Leon, of your popularity in Edmonton. Jacinta Speck spent 30 hours on this graphite drawing of you, and so we've had to speed up the time lapse. But boy, it looks like she's nailed it. The likeness is striking. What do you think?
Oh, that's
You've not seen
very
this before.
accurate. No, I have not. That's very impressive. Yeah.
So now maybe Jacinta can work on recreating this one as a graphite drawing. Let's have a look at what I'm talking about there.
I'd love that. I'd love to see that.
That baby pic was just too good not to see twice. All right, I think we've got time for one more tweet here. It's from Jason Gagnon. Do you prefer the Scorpions or David Hasselhoff, both of whom I think are big in Germany?
I really don't know.
Doesn't matter. All right,
Really
Leon,
don't know.
thanks for your time. Really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you very much.
Leon Draisaitl of the Edmonton Oilers, our guest on After Hours. Once again, thanks for joining us. Back to conclude the proceedings from Rogers Place in Edmonton in a moment. A week tonight, our late game will have this crew in Vancouver, where the Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins will be the visitors. That does it for this edition of After Hours from all of us at Rogers Place. Thanks for watching, and good night.